I would like to ask Ms. Charlotte to pray for us and then the chief to lead us in the pledge.
Please pray with me. Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for your many blessings. We pray for the members in our community who've lost loved ones to COVID. Father, I ask that you would be with them, strengthen them. Watch over our committee today, guide our commission, help them in decisions they make. And we pray for our military that are serving abroad, Father, that you would watch over them. For these things we ask in your most holy name. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Note, we'll call the August 17th meeting of the City Commission to order, and thank everyone for coming. And we'll get started with the consent agenda, which are minutes of our August 3rd meeting and our budget workshop the same day. So I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
A motion from the annex.
Okay. Commissioner Ashbrook made a motion. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Langston. All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passed 5-0. All right, Mr. Engineer, we got you up next.
Good afternoon.
Howdy.
Run through the updates real quick. The Maddox Park gazebo, I'm going off the list of the commission notes. I provided that back to Jim, so it's available for review by anyone that needs it. Once everyone is satisfied, or if there are any comments, we can address those. Once we've had time to review it, and at that point, we're ready to put it out for bid.
That's great. That's great. That looks nice. So you might got any questions about the gazebo that's presented and engineered? I'm assuming it's ready to go.
Correct.
Okay. What is the ground floor elevation?
I believe it's about 3 foot above grade. It's 4 or 5 steps above grade.
Okay.
I can't remember the exact number of steps. I would have to look, but we've got steps on it. So saying 7 inches a step, 4 steps, that's 28 inches. So I'm gonna say around 3 feet. But we can verify that.
Are we going to have to make it wheelchair accessible, or will there be an area coming up to it, or we're gonna build up to it like these pictures show that pavers all the way around and just gradually get up to the...
Well, what we've talked about in previous meetings was just having steps surrounding it, just like the one downtown. So as of right now, it doesn't have a wheelchair access. If that's,
Will it have to?
I don't see why it wouldn't, but that would be a city building code. You know, probably needs to pass through Kelly before we put it out to bid to see if that is something that'll be required as part of the building.
Yeah, because that'll change everything.
It wouldn't be that big a change if we had to put design a ramp in there somewhere to get somebody up. But I think that's a question that we need, it really does need, before we put it out to bid, to do it properly, let the building department review it that way.
So if we vote to put it out to bid today, pending the review of the building department, then it'll be ready to go.
Correct.
Yeah, I would think that we should have wheelchair access to the gazebo. I think that goes without really much discussion in my mind. Because you have people that, utilize a wheelchair for different reasons, and then you have elderly people that it would just be a benefit to them to be able to, go up a ramp, even if they're with a cane, they have trouble with the steps. So.
I agree as well. That's something I just didn't think about in the beginning.
Yeah, but it took me a year.
Yeah, the pictures kind of show it just sloping up, so if we're gonna have steps, I agree, 100%.
Well, morally, I think that it needs to be done because you never know. I may be in a wheelchair tomorrow. So, I think it's a good thing to think about those, especially with, anything that has our name stamped on it, we need to think about that, disabled people, before we even.
Well, do we want, Josh to check that out, and it may have to be something else, the engineer part has to. I think we'd probably like to see what it's gonna look like.
It'll need to be engineered, but we can take care of it. If that's the desire of the council, we can have.
What's the pleasure of the board? You want him to, get it engineered and come back to us?
Just include it in the bid process after they, make the changes. I hate that, it takes so long to get stuff done now. I put it off another whole meeting. If we can authorize the change in the, bid process to include handicap accessible.
We can do that, but we still need to show them where it's gonna be, to what specifications they're gonna do. But we can try to get the bid package ready and work on that all at the same time.
Okay. So, Commissioner Ashbrook, you have.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we could approve this project today and deal with the change order later, but.
Okay, all right, I'll entertain a motion to go out to bid for Maddox Park gazebo.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, any discussion, any further?
The only thing I was gonna mention was, he could send it out after it got engineered, or send the specs out to us via email.
Yep.
Just look at, we've got 3 weeks before our next meeting. We all get a look at it, give them the go.
Okay,
Go ahead and bid.
all right, can you handle that, Josh?
Handle it.
All right. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign, motion passed 5-0.
First Street Lift Station, Long Avenue project, not much to update at the moment, other than, we are under construction. We're still working with the contractor on nailing down the exact schedule so we can get ahead of everything and let everybody know, but that's the forefront of what we're working at right now, is nailing down not a schedule that they're gonna be exact on, but where we can have a good idea of what's taking place, so we can alternate school routes and do that type of thing. But, one thing we may do is we may have more frequent meetings with the contractor. We're already having updates, but we may update up that frequency a little bit at the beginning here of the project, so we don't, impede school traffic or do anything of that nature.
Very good. Questions about First Street, Long Avenue? Okay.
I've got First Street resurfacing on my list, and we're in design for that one as well. That's the DOT project that we have.
Yep.
And we've also got Clifford Sims Park. I do have a task order on that one to put a boardwalk down there to replace the one that was there, to do some improvements to the gazebo and to reconstruct the walkways that are at the park, and also put some park benches as well. So we're working on that plan now.
Good. I think you and John have been working on that. We appreciate that.
I think that's it.
Questions? Anybody? Oh, wait, you have to come up. I'm sorry. But you sat in the far corner, so it's a long one.
A few weeks back, we talked about the,
The path,
Yes,
the
sir.
walking path
yes,
at Maddox Park.
so,
John and I
Christie
and
McElroy.
Josh, we've been trying to figure out something. Did you guys ever,
We've got some ideas, about what we may be able to do. We may be able to bring some sand in and be able to water it in to lock that rock down. That's just something that we've got to try out first to see.
Okay.
I haven't had the opportunity to test that just yet.
We talked to a few contractors, and they seem to think that may be the easiest solution to do, is just a small amount of some type of beach sand and then water it in
okay,
and try to lock that
All
down.
right.
But that's
Sound
something
like
we
they're
got
on
to try.
they're on it. We'll
thank you.
hope the timeline is short. Thank you. All right. Planning board recommendation, Jim?
Yes, sir, Mayor. We had a planning board meeting last Monday, and we have two recommendations for you moving forward. Both received a favorable recommendation for approval, the first being Windmark North Phase 1 final plat. We also have somebody here from St. Joe Company here today representing, if you have any questions, but that is the final plat. This is behind the existing parking lot on by the county now. This will be Phase 1.
Anybody representing St. Joe Company here like to speak? Please sign in and state your name.
Yes, sir. Jason Scarborough with the St. Joe Company. I'll just make myself available for questions.
Okay. Everybody got the plat in front of them. The planning board has looked at it and approved it, and
It's 105 lots,
105.
single family.
I think the only question I probably have is that gonna be an ingress egress through that actual parking lot?
That's just a construction entrance.
Okay.
So the access will be to Highway 98. They're constructing a bridge midway from the subdivision to 98 right now, and then they'll finish it with paving on either side.
So that'll be cut off later.
It will be.
Commissioner, I think that was because there was concern from the county on there. We were working with the county on it. I believe the final plan coming for golf cart access, I believe.
We do have-
It's a golf cart access, but no through traffic.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the planning board recommendation, Windmark North Phase 1, final plat. Okay, Commissioner Ashbrook, makes a motion. Second by Commissioner Lowry. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign, motion passed 5-0. Thank you, good luck.
Next, we have is Lakeview at Palmetto Cloud. This is lots 11 through 20. If you turn to pages 16 through 29, it also got a favorable recommendation from the plan.
All right, everybody kind of got an idea of what's going on there. I believe there was a letter, Jim, you need to explain to folks about the road that they intend to dedicate to the city and what's involved with that.
Yes, sir. Currently, if you turn to page 29, you'll see a note on here that the proposed developer would like for the city to accept the road when it's said and done, and the stormwater will be maintained by the HOA.
What about the right of ways?
The right-of-ways would also be dedicated to the city based on this letter. This would actually be for 50 foot.
Is this a common request, Jim, for developers?
We haven't seen too many in the last couple of years. Most of them, like Windmark, when we just approved the final plat, all those are private. You know, it's not uncommon for a developer to ask for it on there. And currently your code calls for 60 feet, so you're looking at a little bit of an exception on there from 60 feet down to 50 feet, but it's not an uncommon ask.
Yeah, I just like the fact that we're acknowledging and being clear on who owns the road and the right of way, because that has been problematic. So I appreciate this letter being part of the package.
Once it's done, it'd be in your final plat, just like you saw the final plat for Windmark where it said those are private. These will be indicated on there that they'll be public.
And as well as the construction of the road itself prior to us accepting the final development plan, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
I'm gonna abstain. I got a business relationship with the developer.
Okay, all right, would be one abstention. So I'll entertain a motion for Lakeview at Palmetto Bluffs, lot 11 through 20.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Hoffman, second by Commissioner Langston. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, one abstention. Mr. Attorney, you get that? One abstention.
Yes.
All right. Okay, next item, city attorney.
Yes, Mayor, I don't have anything specific today, unless something to the board have something for me.
Well, certainly, condolences to you, to your wife on loss of her sister, and, that's, thinking about her and, both of you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jim, under old business.
So the first item that we have is your city projects for a few hundred pages, 33, 31.
Any questions, comments, suggestions on the current city projects that are hopefully shrinking up as days go by?
Bridges are looking good.
Don't
They look very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, guys.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully we'll get the third one set if we get a little dry weather.
Hopefully, within the next 2 weeks, hopefully, we'll get that set.
That was it, the Buck Griffin Lake.
Yes.
Okay. All right, any questions? Next item?
The next item was the refinance of the current Regis loan. It's in progress. The bid package has been put out there for bid. We anticipate receiving those the 1st of September, bringing it to you on September 21st for a decision from the board of the refinance.
Let's hope it works out good.
Next time we had our second public budget workshop today at 11 o'clock, so we're moving forward towards it. As indicated earlier, our first public meeting that you'll actually be voting on for your public hearing will be on 9/14 and 5/01. The second meeting is still to be determined as soon as the county decides that.
Jim, I guess we didn't set our next budget meeting.
Very true. Do we want to have another meeting before our regular scheduled meeting, or what do we should?
I feel comfortable where we're at today, guys. I mean, we didn't really have a whole lot of changes to make.
I was comfortable with the whole thing, even when the additions
Yeah.
Commissioner Hoffman made to the salary adjustments. I'm fine with it.
The one question we still have is on the liability insurance, so what we can do is switch the board, we can get you out what we got, and y'all can decide if y'all want to come to me and bring the white in and see what we go from there. That's really the last loose thing, I think.
That's it. Yeah, unless there's an increase, I don't see why we should meet until next meeting.
Yeah. Fine, everybody? Commissioner Rice, you okay with that? Okay. All right.
The last time we had was a fish grinder. Commissioner Hoffman talked briefly about it at the last meeting. We tried to put some instances together for you on pages 32 through 30.
You want me to speak on
I guess he does.
that? Well, the fish grinder idea, I still like, and I was willing to bite the bullet on the cost of the grinder itself, even though it was looking at being around $70,000. This money would be coming from the boat landing fund, and my thinking is that's the people that have generated the money, so let's spend it there, you know, at the fish cleaning table. Well, then John Grantland was nice enough to let me know, well, you also have to have a pump station to help move the fish carcasses to the sewer line. I said, okay, well, what's that gonna cost? That's about, what, 100,000? So I'm not going to support the idea of spending a couple $100,000 on the fish cleaning table. We could hire a crew of people to clean everyone's fish cheaper than that. So what I would like the board to approve is authorizing us to work with Duke Energy and go ahead and have the power run down there. And that way we can have the cameras that we've talked about. We can have electricity for electric knives and lighting in that area. Then later, if we have enough funds to justify some type of grinder system and a different idea may come to pass, I'd be happy with that. But I'm not going to support the money to do the lift station and the grinder at this time. And I don't know if we need to discuss or have it approved to have him run the power or pay to have the power run. So that's where we're at.
according to how much is under the bid threshold, you would.
Commissioner, I think it's a great idea. That's a lot of money. But we could possibly just start escrowing today and say 50% of boat ramp revenue goes to this project. And whenever we hit that goal, let's do it. Put a little thermometer up there where we're at.
I'm not opposed to that. That's kind of what I said last meeting, let's put a certain amount back this year and possibly do it in the future.
Yeah, and I like that idea. I just don't want to take that large amount of money and exhaust the fund completely. Well, I don't even think there'd be enough in the fund. There's about like 25,000 in there. But yeah, we revisit it next year with the budget and see how much we have. And if we have enough next year, we'll get serious about going out for bids on the work. But right now, I'd be happy with just stage one of running the power and getting ready to maybe have it in the future.
Let me get on the other side of the fence just a little bit from that. Don't want to step on any toes or hurt anybody's feelings, but how many people usually use that thing that are, if we have 50 boats coming down there, out of 50 boats, how many actually clean their fish at our fish cleaning station? And the reason I say that is because there's only a certain few people that use it. I can save us a whole lot of money just by saying, let's get rid of the fish cleaning station and get rid of the smell and all that and put a nice picnic table under there and let people clean the fish at home where they ought to be cleaning it. But I mean, I've been on board with it, but I've heard all of you guys talk about who uses it, who doesn't use it. Just food for thought that before we agree to spend a whole lot of money, do we want to have a Cadillac fish cleaning station just for a handful of people and the maintenance to go along with it? So just, or if we can improve the one we have without spending $100,000.
It doesn't hurt to wait, Mayor, if the chief gets his camera out there, we'll have some real data.
Yeah, well, that's true too.
Yeah, it's problematic. I can't argue that it's not. It smells terrible. Some of the people refuse to walk 25 steps and throw the fish carcass in the dumpster that we pay for and have picked up about every other day. So I want a fish cleaning table there. I think that it's beneficial. It's handy, but I just can't see spending that kind of money for it. And that's where I'm at. And if we decided as a commission to do away with it, I will vote against it, but I won't scream real loud. So there it is.
Me personally, I think a fish cleaning station is a good idea. I was at White City and caught me a big drum. I didn't want to take that home and throw it out there in doggone bears till it got picked up in the yard. So I think it's a good idea to have one. Spending that kind of money, we need to think about it before we do it, but I think it's a good idea to have a fish cleaning station.
Okay, all right. Okay, Chief, you had a comment?
Just food for thought, the marina had a grinder at the marina, and it ran into their basin, and nothing ever made it past there, because the catfish destroyed everything that come out of the pipe before it had time to float.
Well, actually, they started doing it that way, and it became an issue. And then they started actually grinding it and collecting the particles that came through the grinder and would load it up on the golf cart and drive it to the deeper water at the low dock and then dump it over there and feed the sharks.
So it became an issue.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me this.
Yeah, they had to start
Catfish.
taking it somewhere else. And I had a friend of mine say, well, you need to just come up with a system with a high pressure water system and a pipe and run it out into the bay. And I said, that I like that idea, but I don't know that DEP and all the other multiple agencies would approve it. So I just want to leave it alone for now. Let's run power, utilize the power, and visit it next year if we have money and want to spend it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Under new business, Mr. Jim, looks like I'm, back on my soapbox on, COVID-19.
Mayor,
Yep,
I think we just need a little clarification. Does the board want to go out for bid to run the power?
my question was, or my comment was, if it's under our bid threshold, we don't have to.
Well, it says 15,000.
Oh, it is,
But that's Duke Energy. We can't bid the power.
Well, that's true.
That's true.
Sole
Duke
source.
Energy. So that was an estimate verbal I got from Dwayne Mayor.
okay.
I don't have a written, but I can bring that back the next meeting.
So we will have to vote on spending $15,000,
Mayor, if it'd be a sole source, it's gotta go through Duke Energy. If the board's good with it, we can spend it. It's just a matter of.
That's correct. But I'd rather have a motion to allow them, because it's over your threshold.
Motion to run power.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Ashbrook, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Hoffman. Run power to the fish cleaning station area or
Yeah, let's
specific?
just call it the area, because they're the dictate where, I think when we agreed it needed to be 3-phase, right?
Yep. Okay. And that would be taken out of the boat landing,
Yes.
fund. Okay? Everybody understand that? It's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed 5-0. Thank you, Clint. But anyway, virus claims more young victims. And, I talked about this quite a lot at our last meeting. I'd just like to know what the board feels like we should do as a board to, try to slow this Delta virus down. Country's never been more divided than it is now, from masked and unmasked, and vaccinated and unvaccinated, Democrat, Republicans, you name it, we're divided. I don't want to divide our city. But I do think we need to take some action as far as the action we can take or deals with our employees. We can suggest things to the general population, but the only control we have are the employees that work for us. So, if the board feels like we need to do something, we will. If not, we'll just have to see what happens.
I guess, Jim, how many employees, John, how many employees we have out right now?
I have one. He's coming back tomorrow.
Yeah.
3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah. At our last meeting, I think we had five out. So
What can we do? I mean,
we can require vaccination, we can require masks. We can legally do that. It's already been all the way through the federal court, so I think it's in our rights to do it.
Well, Mayor, we talked about that in the private sector, requiring the vaccines for employees. We just did a quick poll of our current staff, and we'd lose about 30%. So I got with my HR company, and they said that if an employer mandates the vaccine and there's an adverse effect from that vaccine, it's a workman's comp claim at that point. So that's really all the guidance that OSHA has given, is that
Right.
you're responsible if something happens to that employee.
Right. I do think, from what I'm hearing, that some of our city employees are taking it a little more seriously and feel like their civic responsibility is to get the shot, protect the fellow workers as well as their family. But whatever the board feel like we should do. If not, we'll move on and see what happens.
The only thing I'll say is I wouldn't vote to be in favor of mandatory shots for the employees. Now, I could possibly support, here in the next couple of weeks, doing away with paying the leave and making the employee utilize sick leave. But I'd want to hear from the rest of the board on that. I wouldn't be in favor of mandatory
I
shots.
understand. I do think, we voted, Jim, and correct me if I'm wrong, to pay, for COVID, positive for till the end of September.
That's correct. The federal time ran out January 1. We came back and discussed it with the board, I think back in February, it was extended to September 30th, 80 hours, but that is only mandated by the city. That is nothing you have to put in place.
So we've already voted, so that'll sunset on September 30th.
Let's, I'd say,
Yeah, let it sunset.
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Merrill, what about, I know that we voted to give those hours, and I know that there's been a lot of employees that have benefited and needed those hours. And you're correct, the hours from the Fed side has been cut off. What if we changed the language to say we will still allow the hours and maybe even extend it several months for any employee that has taken the 2 vaccinations? Because we not long ago had, I know of one city employee that was fully vaccinated and was faced with a positive and was forced to quarantine. One thing you might consider is still to give that benefit of paid time away if they're willing to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
And if they're not willing to be vaccinated, then the city just doesn't allow for that extra time. The state of Florida, I know their employees right now, for a positive COVID, they're on their own. And I was very disappointed to see that in the past, 6 months ago, the employees that I represent with the union, if they were tested positive, they were actually given workers' comp time. And then Jimmy Petronas decided to stop that. It ran out, and they're no longer awarded that time. But I would support extending that time for the ones that choose to be vaccinated.
We could, if you'd like, we can address that at at our last September meeting. And let's see how things are gonna run, because we've already got it through the 30th, whether you've been vaccinated or
Yeah.
not, so.
I'm willing to support that too.
Yeah, for sure. Just right now, I just can't support a mandate to force our employees to vaccinate. And the reason, even though I don't mind sharing, I'm fully vaccinated and I'll be the first in line to get the booster when it comes out. I support it. I support wearing the mask when we're directed to wear the mask by our health department, both the CDC and the state health department and our county health department. I think they're the ones we should be listening to, not Facebook. But with that said, the reason that I just can't say I support a mandated vaccination, I think it will divide our community more than it is currently.
But Mayor, I'll just add, I don't think that incentives are effective anymore. The people that want to get vaccinated have been vaccinated. There's not a lot of people on the fence. You've got the hard no's and the hard yeses, and that's kind of where we're at now.
This right here is the big incentive right now.
That's the only incentive left, is someone close to you has to die in order for you to get vaccinated. It's unfortunate.
Jim, how many employees are vaccinated? What's the percentage of our employees that are vaccinated? If you don't know offhand, just, next meeting, could you, let me know? So I just want to know, where we are as far as all our employees being vaccinated.
It's very limited.
I do support the shot, the vaccine. I got both of mine. I've been vaccinated. I support the mask when I'm around, when it's needed. But I don't want to divide the city. That's how I feel about it. You have your own opinion, but eventually, hopefully that you'll make the right decision before it's too late, because this virus is a serious issue. I've had people close to me that pass away within the last couple of weeks, and this thing is attacking the body and it's killing people before you even know that you're actually going down sick. So let's just think about it, and I think just give me the figures for next meeting.
Sure. It was a very good article came out from the Centennial Sacred Heart. I forwarded to you the other day. Press release, I'll make some copies here for the general public. It's very informative, and we got it out to all the employees, and I think it's really, hit home to a lot of employees in the last couple of weeks, because we have lost a lot of people.
Okay, let's move on.
The next item we have is the Refit of the Workforce Housing Public-Private Partnership. If you turn over to page 40, we did open up the request for qualifications, and there are 3 that we have received at this point in time. We did email out the full package. You probably got it. It's very, very long. But you have 3 that submitted: HP Capital Partners, Bocaeus, and Royal American.
Okay, I've got a feeling we have some of those guys with us today. If any of them would like to come up and speak, and then I think we may be leaning a little toward a workshop just specifically for this item. But if anybody's here for representing any of these 3, if they'd like to, they can come forward and introduce themselves. Come right up, sir.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, council members.
State your name, sign the book.
Jeff Sharkey, my name is Jeff Sharkey, this is Michael Snodgrass. Listen, thank you obviously for the opportunity to give you a few facts on this workforce.
Your name again was?
Sharkey, Jeff
Oh,
Sharkey.
yeah, that's fine,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Listen, I just wanted 2 things. This is the most efficient local government meeting I've ever seen. And you get done here, but in an hour and a half, it's amazing. So
We're not done yet.
I spoke too soon.
Don't put the jinx on.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you. I'm out of Tallahassee. I'm an affordable workforce housing consultant. I have talked to some of you. I'm working with the Oikos group, Michael Snodgrass, and just wanted to mention a couple of things. And he'll talk a little more specifically. And if you move to a workshop, I think that'll be very helpful for you to understand the value here. But this is, as you know, this is a really important project for you. We do workforce housing projects around the state. From Key West, we have one in Franklin County, Apalachicola now, 52 units. It's hard to do. It's hard to finance. And your essential services personnel, your fire, police, teachers, and you know how hard it is for them to find a place for rent that's affordable or homeownership is affordable. So I think Michael, with his experience, he's a CHODO, which probably an acronym many of you probably don't know about. Nonprofit, does this all over the country, doing it in Florida. In order to do these workforce housing projects, you've got to layer a lot of different types of funding together, from USDA to Florida Housing to others, and it takes that kind of expertise. And I think you'll find when you do your workshop, and you can talk just a little bit about it, why I think that partnership with this nonprofit would be very effective for a long-term, effective, successful workforce housing community. And maybe a mix of rental and home ownership. I know we've talked about some transportation issues and they talked about that. So again, thanks for the opportunity. This is important for the community. I know that. So Michael, maybe you want just a couple of words and then we'll see perhaps in the workforce.
Thank you, Dr. Sharkey. Again, my name is Michael Snodgrass. I'm the president and CEO of Oikos Development Corporation. We do work with cities pretty much wherever the need lies. This is a response, of course, to a request for qualifications to work in a public-private partnership with the city to develop the plan. I mean, we don't have the plan because we don't want to this is your plan. So we're here to help you fulfill that plan and to do, whether it's a mix of single family, townhomes, duplexes, whatever, that's what we do. We've developed hundreds, single family, we've developed hundreds of townhomes and duplexes. We've done some apartments. But again, we're not trying to come in and tell you, again, how to develop the site. We're here to work with you to develop the site and then bring in the resources and the funding that's necessary to actually build it out in a successful manner. I did want to just kind of point out some of our team members. Tim Rogers he's the former multifamily director for the state of Florida for the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA multifamily. Just retired in 2019. He's a part of my team. Nevin Zimmerman, who's in Panama City. He's our attorney for this area. Of course, Dr. Sharkey of Tallahassee, And then, of course, we have Randy Butler, who used to be with D.R. Horton, is now. So we have this experience model built up to help you succeed and make this the most successful project that it can be. But again, we're not trying to force one size on you. We want to work with you to develop it, whether it be more green space, parks. But again, this is a conversation and then a response to the RFQ. So I just want to thank you for your time and hope to see you at the workshop.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
I got a question.
Okay, Commissioner Langston.
When you're talking about developing a plan, my thoughts are more of single family home. How hard is it to get funded for single family homes that are affordable for those teachers and police officers and correctional officers and those that can't afford $300,000 homes or whatever? How successful are you as far as implementing the plan for single family homes?
It is a challenge, especially because of construction costs these days. It used to be, you know, you could build a house for $125,000, keep it affordable to pretty much everybody. Now, you know, these homes, you can't build them for much less than $200,000. And as you said, a lot of them go even up from there. So there's funding out there for whatever we come up with, whatever the city decides to do. But I think it's probably, in order to get the right mix of funding, it's probably going to be a mixture of some single family, along with some townhomes. But in my mind, again, I'm not trying to preclude what you want to do, but everything's got to have a garage. Everything's got to have, you know, it's got to feel like a house no matter what. Whether it's a duplex, a townhome, you know, or a single family. And so there's a way of doing it that, again, you're limited in terms of how many units you can put there. You're limited in terms of access points going into it. And so this is the part of the conversation, I think, with the city staff to develop the right mix. But we have done all of the above, so to speak, and have been successful around the country in getting kind of depending on numbers and units. So yeah, there is some funding out there. It's hard, but we have been successful in the past.
Thank you, appreciate it. Please come up.
Thank you. Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. Gray Dodge with Royal American Development. We're a family-owned company. 52 years ago, we were founded in Panama City. We're still headquartered in Panama City. We all under one roof have construction, management, and development. We have 20,000 units under management all across the Southeast. About 8,000 of those we own. We've worked under every program you can imagine. In fact, we have the first Hurricane Michael recovery multifamily tax credit project about to finish construction, and we're already started leasing on that. We're 92% leased up now, so that's about to open any day now. We've also used Cdbg Dr. I know y'all are all too familiar with Cdbg Dr at this point after Michael. We have 2 projects in Houston with Harvey Funds doing Cdbg Dr out there. Obviously, we don't have any Cdbg Dr multifamily dollars for Michael, unfortunately, for the Panhandle. I wish we did. But we are looking forward to a workshop. We would welcome the opportunity to have a workshop on this and talk more about our qualifications, what we do. We've done developments in Miami, high rise. We've done small garden style. We have rural developments all throughout the Panhandle and rural areas, USDA programs, HUD programs, LIHTC programs. Had a lot of success developing right now. In Panama City, we have 2 developments under contract, and we're working through with the Panama City Housing Authority. So we're actually redeveloping their properties that were destroyed from Hurricane Michael. So all too familiar with working with cities and local governments to help rebuild and help build new. So looking forward to the opportunity to work more with y'all.
Great. Questions? Don't forget to sign in, please.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And I'll also say to your question, Commissioner, we also have a single family division as well under our company. So we're one of the larger single family builders in Bay County right now and can expand that. Also building some in Leon County. It is very hard to do with tax credits to do single family homes, but with the right financing, we can figure out a way to do it, all depending on what the city's looking for. But we think that's a good site. It's got a lot of potential. It's in a boost area that Florida housing requires, a geographic area of opportunity. So we've already done a lot of analysis on that site. We think it's got a lot of potential for some mixed property types there.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Okay, well, let's talk about a workshop, guys. We'll move on to this and hope to get something done. So we need to look at some dates. Probably into September. What?
First meeting is the 2nd, Mayor.
Yeah.
The first meeting is on the 2nd, we shot for the 9th. No, I'm sorry, that's not. First meeting is the 7th.
So that one, which is day after Labor Day. I'm not sure that'd be a good one.
What about the 14th? That's another Tuesday right after.
Doing a budget workshop that day, right?
Is it?
We have a 501 public hearing.
It's at 5 o'clock.
501, your regular meeting right now is scheduled at noon, so you could potentially go before your regular meeting.
Yeah, I'd rather do same day as,
So you're looking at 7th or the 21st?
14th.
The budget meeting.
Oh, have it before that public hearing, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
So that would be a 4 o'clock workshop. We get it done in an hour, do we
I
want
don't think so.
to? No,
We can try.
either. Stuff
3:30.
3:30? How's that? 3:30 on September 14th? Everybody okay with that?
What about the companies that are here today? Are they good with that?
They'll come when we have it, I bet.
That's my thought.
Anyway, so we're gonna have it 3:30 on September 14th. So, anyway, that's what it'll be. Jim, if you'll make note of that. Dr. Starkey,
We'll be here.
it'll be right here. Yes, sir. Yep. All right, let's move on to the next item.
Yes, sir. The next item is the Cdbg Dr Funds, which were alluded to earlier. Looking to put in an application for the next round of funding. As you know, we've been awarded funding for sewer rehab. We're looking to put in 2 more applications. Our recommendation at this point in time is to resubmit for the fire police facility and to now add a road and stormwater application. We know our roads were heavily damaged from Hurricane Michael, and as we use that fund to make the sewer rehab, it will get worse before they get better. So staff recommendation is that we enter into an agreement with our grant writer to put these grants together for the road and stormwater repairs and to reapply for the fire.
I think they're good projects. It's gonna cost us, $10,000 for each one of those. Is that correct?
It's 10,000 for both applications.
Oh, that's for both.
That's for both.
Up to 10,000, I believe what it said.
For those two.
Okay.
And 10 will be depending on the recommendation of the board. We're going to get together tomorrow with our engineers to help put that plan together to put a cost analysis. We were very successful in the first round. We get over $9 million on sewer rehab. So we hope we can still get it for this next.
Right. I think it's money well spent, but I'd like to hear comments from other commissioners. Everybody okay with that?
I think it's a great thing to shoot for. I do ask, where are we at on new city hall funding? Have we applied for anything, or what are we looking at for avenues of funding?
Y'all have asked us to move forward with USDA. What we're doing is we are holding tight until we complete all the refinance on the current loans. And then we're going to submit that loan into USDA to see what we got. We also have news of the approximately 1.7 from the COVID relief package that we believe at this point could be used as part of your money. So potentially, if you get the USDA loan, you could actually pay that off potentially with that $1.7 million. You could come out with very much owed on a brand new complex.
That's exciting.
So we're trying to leverage those funds.
Yep. Like it. So you need a motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay, Commissioner Ashbrook made a motion for task order for road and stormwater repairs, fire police facility. There's a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lowry. Any further comments, discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign, motion passed 5-0. Let's go.
The next item we have is statewide mutual aid agreement. Staff recommendation is to go ahead and approve this. This is in case we do have an emergency situation that the state of Florida will come in.
We pretty much have to sign it, right? Or we should, it's in our best interest too. But you don't, I mean, you don't really need a motion to do that, do you? You do? Okay. All right, Mr. Ashbrook, and Commissioner Langston, second. All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign, motion passed 5-0.
The next one we have is Long Avenue change order number 2. Not a very large item, but I want Mr. Grafton to tell you exactly the details of this change order number 2 that we have submitted to you on page 89. Oh, yes.
What we ran into, Commission, is down Long Avenue, there's stormwater on the west and east side, and there's conflicts where the homes had to take their gravity sewers through the storm pipe. They did that obviously 60, 70 years ago.
Is that all?
That needs to be redone, and that's essentially what this change order is for, would be to sleeve that pipe and then run the new sewer laterals through that. So that's what we're bringing to your attention today.
Well, it's not a whole lot to do all that on.
It's not.
Obviously not, as long as that's the proper way and needs to be done, and
Unfortunately, it's the only way.
that's the only way. Okay. Okay. All righty. Everybody understand that it's $21,000 change order. I mentioned to Jim today, I hope this doesn't get to be a regular item on our agenda between now and getting Long Avenue finished, but, and we got a new, somebody we've never dealt with before, so.
We've only just started this project, Mayor.
Do what?
We've only just started the project.
That's-
We're on 2 already.
I understand, so that's I don't have a big concern, because it's not a big thing, but, I do think that needs to be, relayed to the contractor. But don't cut corners either. So we need a motion to approve the change order, 21,000. Commissioner Hoffman made a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lowry. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion passed 5-0.
The last time I had this collections contract renewal, if you would turn over to page 93, 111, I think it's the last page that shows our current contract we had. It's been in place for a while. We enjoyed working with the folks we had that put this in place on there. It's been in place since 2008, PAC. They've done a good job for us. It's the last resort when we cannot collect the money. And it's one of those things that we have to show good faith in the community and to our auditors that we're doing everything we can to collect those bad debts that are sitting on the books. Staff recommendation is to move forward with this merger with the new neighbors company.
Okay, so entertain a motion for our collection contract to Gulf Coast Collection Bureau. Might want to make that motion.
I have one question for you,
Okay.
Mayor. That 25% of the amount collected, what does that usually amount to? What do we pay these guys a year?
That comes out of the amount that they have to collect. So if the debt's sitting on the books on there, it depends on how much they collect.
Well, how much debt average do we collect a year? Try to collect. Are we talking 100,000? Are we talking 10, 15?
On the books at any given time, there's over $100,000 on the books. You gotta remember how large of a utility we are, so I don't have the number in front of me, but
Well, and the only reason I ask is if we get over a certain amount, it's something that should be bid for an RFQ process, but if staff's comfortable working with this company. Just keep in mind, if it is $100,000, they might wind up collecting it all. We're giving these guys 25,000. So if we could get that rate down to 20% through a bid process, just something to think about, not saying we need to do that, but it is a lot of money.
I get, my question is, what's the amount of let's say a monthly check we get from collection? Do they send us a check monthly or just
I'd have to do some research.
haphazardly or what?
What we do is, we send them, usually Carla sends them like on a quarterly basis to them. We do everything we can to try to collect them.
Sure we do. Yeah.
Before we send it to them. So what we can do is, we can do an aging report, and that aging report will show that somebody's over 90 days, 120 days, 150 days, and she sends that aging report on.
I'll make the motion, Mayor, but I would like to see that data if this ever comes back up again, just to see if there's other companies that do it for less percentage.
This is 1-year contract. And I didn't look real close at the termination clause. Termination, let's see. We can terminate it 30 days written notice, Commissioner Ashbrook, if we're not satisfied, so.
I'm not satisfied, Mayor, I just wonder if we could save money.
Well, I really, at some point in time, we gotta write off some that's not gonna ever be collected. So there's, Commissioner Ashbrook made a motion, there's a second. Second by Commissioner Langston.
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
The only question I had, Jim, was, is 25% the same amount that was the previous year?
Yes, that's what I did. I did look at that. The previous contract was 25.
All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passed 5-0. All right, anything else, Jim?
No, sir.
Down to Mr. Grantland,
Mayor, I don't have anything unless the board's got questions for me.
anybody? Thank you, everybody, thank you for all the staff's work, yesterday and the day before, and it'll be several weeks after to get it cleaned up, but, keep everybody healthy, and we'll get it done pretty quick. All righty, let's move on to, Mr. Larry.
Mayor, I don't have anything new for today, but I guess you're all aware that we lost another employee in the county, so his last day is Thursday.
Is that your Class A operator?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, I'm familiar with that, yeah. But that's the way it goes, hope it works out. Any questions for Larry? Wastewater, Mr. Kevin, probably got a lot for us.
It's John's fault. John Centennial at work.
Yeah.
So yesterday, we got 4.5 million gallons in. So that's pretty much, that's a lot of rain. We got 7 inches roughly last few days. The pump, last meeting, y'all approved the pump, some pump work. Guys come in, we're pumping well, the guts out of it, we sent off to have that rebuilt, so we could put it on the other side. And there's 2 pumps, so we'll have them both rebuilt pretty soon. Parts are still hard to get. So we're running hard now and will until we get the pond down. So we've got 9 inches of freeboard. So you can slow down with large volumes of water, you can slow it down. And then it's just a matter of time. You slow it down and then you catch it and then eventually we'll get it pumped back down. I'm not in a panic mode because we're pumping well. Okay. So I think everything's back to working as it should. Haven't heard from DEP about the consent order that asked for extension based on what we saw on the bottom, the video we took at the bottom of the pond. And I haven't gotten a response back, but it's looking better than it was just last week. Each week, some of your pond, the bottom is starting to settle a little bit. So we pulled samples today and it looks better than it did last week, which looked better than it did the week before. So I still think we need to have a little more time for the pond to settle before we go back to standard specifications as far as, you know, what effluent looks like. We're pretty good shape for the shape we're in for all the rain that we got in. So any questions from?
You said 4.5 million gallons
yesterday. So, and you know, as the way it works, we have a lot of I-9 in the system, so it'll slow down. We won't get 4.5 today and tomorrow, but it's not gonna just stop because the rain stopped. It's a lot of groundwater filters in through the pipes, so our flow over about a week, will slow down to maybe normal standards.
So with our work on getting our infrastructure back up to what it needs to be, sewer and stormwater, that type thing, when we get all that fixed at some point in time, we have another rain event like we had, you're not gonna be getting 4.5 million gallons from John. Is that a reasonable assumption?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because we've got it's sewer, water's going into the aged sewer pipe.
Right. So, and I'm not sure how much John knows more about, the pipes and the shape of the pipes throughout the town. But, in each piece of it we've done some of it so far, and I've only had one good rain event where I can say we're a percentage less. So we're 15% roughly less than we would have been the same rain event 2 years ago.
Okay.
So the work that we've done so far has got, it's already done some. So I'm assuming the rest of the stuff that we got on the scope, will get a lot of that.
Right.
And what
That's why we're spending the money. One reason.
It's a good place to spend it.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Any questions, Kevin? Anything else, Kevin?
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Mike.
Mayor, I have a request to go out for bid for the exercise equipment for the FERDAP grant. That's 2 exercise fitness stations, one at Washington Complex and one at Deuter Park. And then the other element of the bid is the concrete work. So they'll need a 30 by 20 concrete pad to install the exercise equipment and also concrete pads for the disc golf course around both facilities. So it's 2 separate bids for 2 locations, one for the exercise equipment and one for the concrete work. So I'm requesting approval to go out for bid for those 2 elements for those grants.
Okay. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Mr. Langston made a motion. Is there a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Ashbrook. Kipsdokie. Discussion by commissioners. Anybody got discussion before we open it up? Okay, come right up, please, man.
Thank you, gentlemen. Christy McElroy, Woodward Avenue. I'm wondering what the equipment is going to be. I still have concerns. We were lucky yesterday, pretty much, but during these events, things need to be safely placed, safely secured, so that they don't wash into places that they shouldn't be. That's one thing. I'm also a little concerned if you are to look at other municipalities that are experiencing flooding, the more concrete impervious surfaces you have, the more flooding you have. And so in our parks, I guess, is it a great idea to be putting down more impervious surfaces? And then on top of that, putting in equipment and who maintains the equipment? And what's the longevity of the equipment?
Michael, I think you got pictures of all that, don't you?
Yeah, I don't have it with me. Unfortunately, it didn't get into the bid package, but I do have that information.
You can make copies and leave it at the window if you want.
Okay, so is this like, is this for children?
No, this is an adult exercise equipment. It's like elliptical machine, outdoor bicycle, sit-up benches, pull-up bars. These are outdoor
So when
fitness
you're
equipment.
walking and riding your bike, you can stop and work at it.
I know, but I have a bike. And the thing is, we have bike paths. So to put in a stationary bike, I'm sorry, I find that comical.
Yeah, we can certainly exclude the stationary bike.
Yeah, I think, do you leave your bicycle outside in the elements? I don't. I mean, what is the wear and tear? And if the bay decides to take another little
Yeah.
tour through that area. What does that mean? I just,
Chance we gotta take, I guess.
well,
It's a project, I think it's.
I understand that, Mayor. I find it comical. We need to get our bike paths so that people can ride on our bike paths, not, get bogged down and can't even use the bike paths.
Yeah.
Where do we kind of sit there and say, let's use common sense? And then where are we just exercising grants just because?
Well, I think, community input's important and certainly like to hear, I think it was for that committee, I guess they met, but
I
I can
know.
provide you with all that information that
Yes,
we don't
sir,
all know.
and as I've asked, it'd be nice if some people on our street were allowed to be a part of that committee, and,
I don't have a
so,
problem with that.
I just, again, when I ride, and I ride practically every day, you see people walking on their bikes, some kids sometimes using the basketball courts, etc. Pickleball, and I saw tennis today. I just think, are we making ourselves just another issue for Mr. Grantland's group to have to take care of? And then the impervious surfaces.
Okay,
So,
thank you, ma'am.
So let me clarify. The FERDAP committee met, discussed all the pros and cons of the equipment and presented today for us to support or deny their request.
The FERDAP committee met and came up with a concept.
Right.
I found the equipment and then reviewed that with the committee. So we didn't have a meeting specifically, but they did have a meeting where they came up with a concept of exercise fitness equipment. We didn't specifically talk about the surface we were going to install it on. There's certainly other options than concrete.
Yeah, if it'd be other option, that would be good. I know a pad for the, disc golf, I mean, that's not make a lot of difference, it's about that big, but 20 by 30 might be.
Right, so I certainly can look at those options.
Okay.
Those aren't set in stone, but the exercise equipment, we have a pretty good pattern that we think is going to be durable, has a 5 to 10 year warranty on different pieces of the elements, and it's all body weight equipment. It's not a lot of moving parts that cause a problem.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? All in favor, aye? Opposed, same sign, motion passed 5-0.
That's all I have.
All righty. Code enforcement.
So, big thing this week is grass. A lot of grass, you have to maintain the grass, especially in the homes that aren't being utilized. Everybody's been working this week and making lots of new things.
Yeah. I noticed the house that we paid to tear down, the grass is about high as that table, right, the same lot right now. So I don't know.
Quite a few around town.
I don't know if they're really an owner or what for that piece of property, but anyway. All righty. Chief,
I don't have anything unless y'all have a question.
Scott season opened up yesterday, and of course, we didn't have anybody out scouting.
I haven't been out down there since lunch, but this morning it was pretty dead.
Yeah, but I will say this weekend, good and well, it'll perk up, and John did a great job putting up some barriers to keep folks from driving all over Frank Bay Park. But I would say this, if somebody decides to go around those barriers, jump the curb and park their boat and trailer in there this weekend, I hope that you guys would come down hard any way you can through tickets or whatever can be done.
If they go through that much trouble, their truck and boat or trailer will probably be missing.
Okay.
Because that would just be blatant.
Yeah, it's happening, so,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
all right, anybody for the chief? All right, Ms. Pierce.
Gentlemen, we have the Centennial Building Lighthouse Complex grant administration contracts for your review. this would enable us to use grant writer or company to manage it that we've talked with before. They're very good at this. They've done it. And we had allowed it in the budget for that fee. And it has been, the attorney checked with our Ferguson group, and I think there's no issue there. It feels good that they're in Tallahassee, which is much closer. They can go to State Historic Preservation, work with them in any way. But this is through the Hurricane Michael National Park Service grant that we received for each. We're still waiting on the approval of the Indian tribes. We've not heard from all of them yet. That's our only holdup now.
Okay. So
We need a
the scope of
motion.
work's $10,000, I think, for each project, and it comes out of the
It comes out of the grant.
itself.
Yes, sir. It was set up in the
So it's
administration.
not really out of our
No,
budget per se. Okay.
but I do need a motion, second, please, to approve them.
Motion to approve on both, Mayor.
Okay, there's a motion by Commissioner Ashbrook, there's a second.
Second.
Okay, second for Liberty Partners to run the contracts for Lighthouse and the Centennial. I think Centennial was $498,000
Close,
and the Lighthouse was,
a high three.
so we've got a couple of good grants to move forward with projects that have been on the books for a long time. Okay, motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed 5-0.
All right, so the next item is Ghost on the Coast. We discussed it at the last meeting. It is on a Sunday. I think you were gonna see how you felt about it, and realizing that the merchants are closed on Sunday as far as having anyone on the street to hand out candy to the ghost. First Baptist is doing their Holy Ghost on the Coast on Sunday night.
What time, we normally have this start at 5 o'clock?
We usually do the costume at 5, and then when that's over, go from there.
I just don't think you're gonna have a lot of participation that we've had in the past if it's on a Sunday.
Yeah, so crapshoot, if we don't have it, they're gonna wonder why we're not having it, but, I mean, that's.
Do it Saturday or don't do it at all, Mayor, really.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree with that, and, is there enough activity on Saturday on Reed Avenue already? That might, of course, it is October 31st, so it may not be, but whatever pleasure the board is, I'm behind you 100%.
And do we want to tone it down a little bit instead of doing, I don't know, I mean,
The costume contest really puts everybody in real close quarters.
Yeah, real
Oh, there's no doubt about that, and it would, to me, it would all be hinged on what the numbers of the, COVID is at that time, hoping by the end of October, this thing's trending way down, but that's all, concern of mine.
In my opinion, Mayor, if we dropped the costume contest, the city wouldn't have a whole lot to do as far as getting things lined up. We could make the decision to have it or not later, but if we decide today that we're not gonna do the costume contest, it would be a lot easier for us to cancel or have it last minute.
Well, if we don't have any merchants open to hand out candy, what are we gonna do?
We'll have them open on Saturday.
Saturday is
But
what.
are you gonna move it to Saturday, then the church have theirs on Sunday? You think people will come both nights?
Kids like candy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't wanna make a decision on it today personally.
We gotta make a decision today.
Not really, but we'll kick it down the road again if y'all want to, I don't.
You can cancel the costume part of it. That's the only city involvement we have anyway. And then the merchants can weigh in on if they wanna set up and give out candy on a Sunday or not. We could work with the chamber to reach out to the vendors on Reed and say, hey, do y'all want us to do it? Cause it really would be their doing, the city.
I wouldn't want, I'm kind of like Commissioner Lowry, I'm not sure, can't ever tell about kids, I'm not sure what kind of participation we'll have, but, I don't believe a costume contest is that big a deal. They'd love to have a closed environment, trick or treats instead of running around the streets all night. I like the idea and the concept, Just got to decide on the time, and if we want to do it on, probably, we ought to just do it on Sunday. And, let Commissioner Hoffman said, let Chamber run with that, and, then the kids can go to both places, the ones that want to.
You wanna let staff fill out the chamber and see what they,
Yeah, we could talk to Joe and,
Yeah.
See how he feels, and, so we can say we're gonna make a motion to do it on Sunday the 31st at whatever time, and pending input from the chamber.
So are we doing away with the costume contest?
I think that was pleasurable. I think that was,
Okay,
yeah. Yeah. So, and somebody wanna make a motion to have Ghost on the Coast Sunday, the 31st of October at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock? What did we used to have at 5, I believe?
At 5 is when we do the costume, but then after that is when they go up and down the streets to the merchants. So if the merchants are not gonna participate.
Well, they might.
They may,
We
they
don't
may
know
not.
that, but,
Maybe if we talk with the chamber before the next meeting and give your feedback on what they think.
I like that idea.
yeah, instead of motion.
We've got 2.5 months still.
Okay. All right,
They may want to just take it over
there you go.
and do everything but the costume party. And then if we decide to have that or the costume contest next year, you know, we could have that. But the city does very little other than the costume competition. Once that's over, it's just kids walking up down Reed getting candy.
We cleared and old Reed Avenue.
Yeah.
Traffic.
Yeah, which, you know, if the chamber wants to still take that over or whatever, we can still do that.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get
Let's do
with the
that.
chamber and come back something next meeting.
Okay, doke.
Thank you.
All righty, yes,
I don't have
ma'am.
anything else.
All
unless someone
righty.
has questions.
Citizens to be heard. Anybody in the audience like to come up and speak? Come on, Marvin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Got just a couple things I'd like to just ask. That is an update. Y'all got some answers flying everywhere. A roof update. About a couple months ago, I brought up about the roof between the Washington High School Museum and the workforce. It was leaking water by the electric meter. And I think Mr. Smiley, he also brought it up about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I think, John, we talked about that last meeting. I wasn't sure you were here. Yeah, go ahead.
That's correct. We addressed that. It's actually in the budget this year to replace that this October. We did have a city building department inspector go out and look as it relates to the meter base. It's okay, you know, you're gonna get some rain. It's an outside apparatus to begin with. You know, not that we want to let water consistently run on it, which is why we're gonna fix it next year.
Okay, good. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. And the other one is when we're talking about COVID-19, what are the rates, the current positivity of the rates here in Gulf County? Have we gotten those numbers?
Luckily, I didn't get them this week, but the last we got, which ended on today's the 17th. I think it ended on the 7th of the 8th. Anyway, I think Jim may have them, but we were at 28%. I think last I saw we were 21. We did drop a little. Jim, what you got? He's got
That's correct, Mayor. We were at 28.18 last week. This week, the last number we had on 8/6 was 21.18. Still high, but it is trending down. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the rate has to be if we're going to start considering mask? I know everybody is looking at, politically about mask mandate and all this here. We are here for public safety.
if we believe that masks will help protect the public, then I think we should consider it. And I put emphasis on consider it. I look at masks the same way I look at seatbelt. We all have to wear what? Seatbelt, right? When we drive in our vehicle, right? Whether we driving or we riding. Why do we wear seatbelt? Who told us to wear seatbelt? Okay. Number one, it's kind of common sense a little bit to wear a seatbelt. Why? For protection. So keeping that in mind, same thing with car seats. We got a child, we put our kid in the car seat. Why? Why do we do that? Primarily for what? For safety and for protection. Well, I do believe strongly as a citizen that telling our people for protection and for safety reason, we need to wear masks. That's got nothing to do with what party I'm affiliated with. It's about safety. I just want you guys to just think about that. I do it. That's
I had one
just
comment
think
on
about it.
that.
Yes, sir.
In the past, when the city did strongly encourage the mask wearing, we had pushback from some of the business owners. And then I talked about the very fact that why would we impose masks in the city when, according to the school board's attorney, we can't impose it with the schools? So you had all the kids going to the schools, you had the teachers going to schools, you had the sports events going on. So what did we really accomplish if you make this group here wear a mask, and then when they change over and they're at these other functions, they're not required to wear a mask? And that's the problem that we were faced with. I think we would still be faced with that problem today.
We probably will be.
Yeah.
But me personally, this is my neighbor's personally, I am totally supportive of a mask. I work and I teach over there in Bay County. Our kids wear masks. So, but the main thing of what I'm saying is public safety. We should not be afraid if it's for public safety. And public safety only is what I'm talking about right now.
And I agree with that.
That's all I'm talking
And
about.
this board
Public
has
safety.
always, from day one, said we support science and we support CDC.
Right.
The CDC recommends mask wearing. So from up here, I think everybody up here would recommend masks.
Right. Just recommend.
And a shot, which
Right.
CDC does. But it appears right now we don't want to mandate it with our employees, and we can't mandate it with the city.
Right.
We can put signs up again that please, wear your mask, protect the city and all. We can do that again.
How to encourage it.
Yeah.
How to encourage it.
That'd be
Yeah,
great.
right now, the rule from the governor of the state of Florida, no city or municipality has a right to mandate a mask. You can mandate it, but you can't do anything about it if people say, well, I'm not wearing it.
Yeah.
So why get into that dogfight?
Yeah.
Now, one other thing about the results that I think should be noted, I spoke to the health department a few weeks back when we started having a lot of positives and it affected several of our city people. I called myself and spoke to Sarah, and she gave me some information on that phone call that there was 138 positive cases, and then she talked about the amount of people that were in the hospitals on that particular day, and 92% of the people that were in the hospital here locally were not vaccinated. And you hear me talk about, or you can listen to social media and Facebook. There was a video went around in Facebook. It happened to be at a school board meeting, actually. A doctor stood up, and I use the term doctor loosely because now we have found out that his credentials are in question. But he was, speaking just the opposite, that the influx of positive cases were related to the people who had been vaccinated. And that's just totally off the chain. There's no scientific evidence to that whatsoever. So I appreciate you bringing that back up and reminding us about the importance of being notified weekly from our health department.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Anybody else? Come right up. Real quick, okay, good.
Like many citizens today, I'm sure they had some cleaning up of the yard to do.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, number one, will we have somebody coming and keep picking up all those branches and everything? Number two, there are some areas, Mr. Mayor, that people have thrown televisions, et cetera. And with storm season, and I know that y'all were kind enough to do, some sort of pickup cleanup in October. My concern is with the storms and those televisions and furniture being outside and everything. So would you consider an amnesty move up instead of it being in October?
That's a good one. Yeah,
Those
clean
are
up-
the two things.
Clean up, fix up type thing. Let's see what this is.
I think that one's.
Yeah, that's the amnesty day where BCC was
And that's in
October
October.
23rd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I, with what we've been facing, and I'm sure a lot of people were nervous, a lot of this debris, televisions have been sitting on the road for months now. So if y'all would consider moving it up, and then, like I said, with all the branches and everything and other storms following behind, if we could get somebody to pick up all the limbs, that would be most helpful.
John, television, mattresses, couches on the side of the road. We pick those up and do a pickup. We charge automatically $150.
Well, I'll pick those up when code enforcement sends me the notification.
Okay, all right.
And then we
That's
can
for that's for everything except yard debris, which BCC is charged with picking up yard debris. Okay, so
we charge a collection fee as well as, I believe, code enforcement charges a code enforcement fee as well.
okay.
Like where you show it tells the location.
But I don't think Amnesty Day goes around through the city picking
No,
up
that's
stuff.
for us.
You gotta carry it.
Yeah, amnesty day is we can take paint, old paint and that type of thing. So,
Thanks for that clarification.
so that's. All right, anybody else? All right, Commissioner Ashbrook, you can be first.
I'm good, Mayor.
All right, well, any report from the convention? Any
I haven't digested it all yet.
words of wisdom? Okay, all right. Mr. Lowry,
I don't have anything on that.
okay, Mr. Langston.
I got a couple of things. I was thinking about splash pad. I saw something when we were at the convention, and it seems like it's something simple where they had a foundation laid out, and underneath they had water shooting underneath. And man, those kids was out there just running around in that water. They didn't care nothing about it if it was coming from out of a character's mouth. It was coming out of that.
Just like a glorified fountain.
And I would like for us to try to put something like that in our city. It seemed like it was simple, but I don't know. I'm not mechanically inclined. But I think that would be a good thing for us to be thinking about as far as next summer when it gets hot.
That really, that might be a start. You don't, like to say, you don't have to have all the clown's mouths and all that shooting water. I've seen them and they just come up randomly.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I mean, it'll be something for kids to enjoy it, I think. They don't really look at all the features and everything like that. They just want to get wet.
Yep.
And another thing is, can we have the building department to come to the meeting our next meeting? I just want to know why it's so hard for people to get permits. I mean, why does it take so long for somebody to get a permit? I mean, we talked to the guy, the Taco Bell, and that's what he's waiting on, permit. So if you can get somebody here next meeting, I just want to ask them a few questions about it, see why it's taking so long to get it done.
Okay,
That's all I got.
all right. Mr. Hoffman?
I have two things. One, I'd like to have our code enforcement people look at the concrete plant across from the courthouse. It's in the city. A little part of it's owned by an actual concrete company, and then the majority of it is owned by the railroad. But they need to either tear it down, fix it up, or do something, because it's an eyesore. And it is in the city, because I thought maybe it wasn't in the city. That's why we hadn't done anything about it, but it's in the city, and we need to send letters out and get that place cleaned up. Like, you know, we make people clean their house up, their business up, but we don't tear it down. And then we got this concrete plant coming right into our city. It looks terrible. And then the other thing, I'd like to follow up on the splash pad. I support the splash pad 100%. And I believe our plan is to approve that on our legislative budget request and seek our representatives' assistance, because there has been splash pads funded in other communities through legislative funding. So, that's all I have.
Gotta get a plan, that's what, we gotta get a plan. Okay, the only thing I've got is, about a week or a week and a half ago, we all got a letter from the county manager concerning our utility service area ordinance. I think everybody read that, and in that, they requested a response from us. And so to date, we haven't, responded, but what I'd like for you guys to allow us to do would work with our legal counsel and the city manager to craft a response to the county for that based on our ordinance. And we know there's a couple of things in there that were inaccurate, and but we do need to respond, and I don't want them to think we're just thumbing our nose at them. So if y'all would allow it, I'll get with Clint, and if he thinks we need our outside counsel, we'll get with them too, and Jim, and craft a response and send it to them. If that's okay with you guys. I'm not trying to do anything behind the scenes or anything, but we just, we need a response, and that's what we need to do. So, if that's all right, we'll move ahead with it, and everybody will be informed of what's
Any communication with the water service area probably should flow through an attorney between us and the county.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. So anyway, that's all I have. If nothing else, we'll stand adjourned.
Mr. Lowry. Yes, ma'am. I'll need your forward. Mr. Mayor, I have a number of documents.